with D6 Mafia. We're here on the floor of Gen Con talking about D&D Attack Wing. So Scott, would you like to tell us a little bit about D&D Attack Wing?
Oh, I'd be glad to.
Awesome.
This is D&D Attack Wing, the starter set that we're demoing here at Gen Con. This is the first time that we actually have a full production copy. We're really excited to see it. We've been showing off the sculpts and the beautiful dragons at other shows, but this is the first time that people are actually going to be able to sit down and play with the actual production cards that we've seen the packaging. So I saw it myself for the first time 2 days ago, and
wow.
Very, very happy about it.
Now you're going to show everybody.
Now I'm going to show everybody. It comes out in October. Okay. But showing it off here at Gen Con, as well as some of the first expansions, which we'll go over as well.
Great.
But I'll walk through a little bit of the gameplay with you.
Yeah, show me how it works.
So this is a game that uses the flight path maneuver system.
Right.
And the flight path maneuver system is a tactical combat game where you are utilizing different maneuver templates that we have here in front of us on the table, and having your dragons fly into combat, and you're trying to position your dragon and your troops as well. We have more than just dragons, but in the starter you have the 3 dragons. And you're trying to position them so that you get to attack your opponent by getting them into their firing arc, in the case of dragons, in their to be able to claw or bite them in their front arc, or do a tail attack from behind. But if you can get into the side of a dragon where he can't quite hit you, and so you're trying to anticipate what your opponent's doing and put yourself in the best position to attack them, but maybe not get retaliated against.
Right.
Yeah. So the basics of the gameplay, there's 3 steps in a turn. You have the planning phase, the activation phase, and the combat phase. The planning phase is everybody has a maneuver dial here, which has all the different moves that a dragon can do, and you're going to commit to that at the beginning of the planning phase. Okay. Each dragon has a little card here that tells you, shows arrows of what they can, how they can move.
How maneuverable they are.
How maneuverable they are. Some are certainly more maneuverable than others. And you turn the dial and choose what you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and select one here. And then we place it face down. All the players with all their creatures would do that to commit to their movement.
Secretly decide what they're going to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then the activation phase, it goes by level of character, from the lowest level character to the highest level character. In order, would then activate by flipping over and showing what they chose for their maneuver. So in this case, I did a 2 bank. So I'd take the corresponding movement template, place it in front of my dragon. There's a little area there for it that sits into. And I would move the dragon, and that's how I flew into a 2 bank here, going in towards the blue dragon there. And then I'd be able to take an action. There's actions that will help you increase your defense, that will help increase your attack, maybe let you re-roll an attack. But there's also actions like you can cast spells in the game. There's arcane spells, divine spells, or even special abilities that you can do that might be offensive or defensive.
Wow, that's awesome.
Then, of course, once everybody goes, then we get into the combat, which is really the meat of the game. With the combat, we would then check to see if anyone is within we have the firing arc, which is the shaded area on the base.
Yep.
And we have a range ruler here, which shows you if you're close enough to be able to make an attack. As with classic D&D, we have all different types of area of effect attacks in this game.
Of course.
So the dragons have different breath weapons that they can do. The blue dragon has lightning breath, so he can do a line attack. So he would take, the player would take the range ruler and lay it on the table, and any base that it touched. So if he was able to line up multiple dragons, he'd be able to hit both of them with 1 lightning breath. The red dragon has a fire breath.
Cone of fire, naturally.
And it's a cone attack, exactly. That would actually be everyone within his front firing arc.
Oh, wow.
Now, mind you, everyone within his front firing arc.
So your friends too, your other units, yeah.
If you have other units that you're playing with, then you might potentially catch them in that.
Wow.
So you then would roll your attack dice, which are these red dice.
Okay.
Each creature and character has different stats for their attack, their agility, their health, and their armor. And in rolling the attack dice, you'd see the red dragon here has 5 attack dice, and you roll, and there's hits, critical hits, blanks, and then something that's called concentrate, which you might be able to turn into hits. And the other ones would roll their defense dice to try to dodge.
Get some of those.
So that's actually 2 dodges right there. As you take damage in the game, there's old damage cards here. So whatever damage would go through, you take these cards. And if you get enough damage cards that meet your health, your hit points, then you're knocked out. There's also critical hits in the game. If you can take a critical hit, not only do you get one of these cards for damage, but you flip it over. And it's got an effect. Like this one says dazed, which means that I wouldn't be able to perform any actions while I had this effect on me. So it really hampers what you can do in the game. And then it's basically you play through in the starter set. There's 3 dragons: the red dragon, the copper dragon, the blue dragon. So you have enough for 3 players to each take a dragon and do just a knockdown, drag out fight. Last dragon standing.
Oh man, awesome.
And also in the game there are adventures. So in the starter set, there's 2 adventures in the back of the game. In the rule book, and it'll tell you how to set up and what the builds are for that. And these are a game that's more of a scenario game that you're trying to do some sort of objective that it explains in the rules. And you can also play them as an ongoing campaign. So you can string these adventures together and gain experience points depending on if you and I were playing and whichever one of us won the adventure. So if you won the adventure, you'll get an experience point. So the next time we play, you'd have an extra point to build your team with.
Oh, man.
And there might be in those adventures artifacts that we're trying to find and fight for. And if you win, you get that artifact. And when you're building your team next time you can equip
an artifact. Wow, it already sounds so much different than the other Attack Wing, the Star Trek Attack Wing game, than X-Wing. It's really exciting. Are there any other differences, any other challenges in trying to take what is basically a sci-fi game and bring it into a fantasy setting?
Well, the biggest difference is between this and our Star Trek Attack Wing is this game has ground units and different elevations. So there's ground and there's air. And so in the starter set we have the dragons, which are all flyers. They can all fly. But they can actually land on the ground as well and walk around on the ground. So there's 2 maneuver dials.
Okay.
That one represents for them in flight and one represents for them on the ground. But you have these 2 different elevations. So we'll have units that are in the game, like elven archers and hobgoblin troops that are going to be on the ground.
Wow.
So you can run legions of troops and other classic
They're going to fight
creatures
off the dragons.
Exactly, from the D&D universe.
Now those are coming out in the expansion packs, and we have some of those to preview over here, right?
Yeah, we can take a look at those.
So yeah, let's check them out.
So this is the 7 expansion packs that come out. These come out 2 weeks after the starter set comes out in October.
Wow.
So it'll be late October.
Right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
And then we'll be having more in the following months, even after that. Every month we'll have more expansion packs coming out. But the first 7 that we have here, we've got another dragon, the green dragon.
Green dragon, great.
We've got a frost giant.
Which I love.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
That's amazing.
So yes, he's a ground unit, but he's a big ground unit.
Giant, yeah.
Yeah, absolute dragon killer right here. We have a wraith, so we undead character, which has ethereal ability. So he's hard to hit, and he can actually fly around.
Wow. Okay, so he can be ground and air.
Yes.
Minion. Okay, interesting.
We have a hobgoblin troop, the sun elf troop, the sun elf wizard, and a dwarven ballista.
Wow. So how does the interaction between the ground and air work? Would a dragon have to say come down to the ground in order to attack a ground unit, or for them to attack, or they all have ranged?
So you can attack the other elevation with range attacks.
Okay.
So as you're making in melee combat, you have to be on the same elevation. Okay. But you can make range attacks against different elevations. Mm-hmm. So when a dragon's using their breath weapon, for example, they have to choose if they're going to use it at the troops in the air or blast the people on the ground.
Oh, wow.
But can't do both. However, there's other area of effect attacks, like there will be, for certain spells, like a flame strike, a column effect, and that would actually hit both ground and air.
Wow.
And then for melee attack, you have to hit everybody on the same elevation, but the flying units can actually swoop down. Mm-hmm. They can either land on the ground to attack close combat and melee, or they can do a swoop action, which means they're still flying, but they're kind of coming down close to be able to attack
in order to do
melee.
Oh,
but
great.
that also means that everyone on the ground can attack them with melee combat.
Just for that round?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it allows them, because in the game there's a recharge effect as a dragon uses their breath weapon, or as a spellcaster casts a spell. There's that has a duration. That's how long the spell lasts before you can cast. You'll have the effect that you can cast it again, or when the red dragon shoots his breath weapon, or any dragon shoots their breath weapon. There's a duration before they can do it again, so they can't do it every round.
It's really important, yeah.
So in the meanwhile, while they might not have a ranged attack to do, then they need to get down close and personal to be able to attack with their bite or their tail.
Yeah, well, the game looks exciting. The miniatures look amazing.
Thank you.
This is exactly how they come. They're pre-painted. They're ready to go.
Yes.
Right out of the box.
The starter set we have here with all of the print components here at Gen Con for the expansions. We're just showing off the figures. We don't have the packaging and the components yet, but this is how the sculpts are. We're really excited about it. We're really happy to work with Wizards of the Coast. Such a wonderful world to work in.
Oh yeah.
And to be able to take this game platform and translate it, I'm excited as a longtime D&D player to see this game system, and the team of Andrew Parks and Manny, who he works with, designing the adventures and designing the cards. They really captured the feel of D&D.
Yeah,
with
for
all
sure.
the spell effects.
It's different than anything I've ever seen in kind of a war combat game. The rules are really great, and if people are familiar with Attack Wing, they can jump right in. So any other important things that come with the expansions, new spells? Is it just the figures and the rules for those, or are we going to see some...
Each expansion pack comes with all the upgrades for the characters. So there's, this is a customizable game where you get to choose the characters you're playing and then customize them by equipping them with, equipment. So you can have armor and weapons and things like that.
Nice.
The dragons have dragon upgrades. There's arcane spells, divine spells, depending on what type of spellcaster they might be. The different artifacts that you might collect in your adventures. So each pack comes with things that are unique to those characters. And then each one also comes with another adventure.
Oh, great.
So it actually introduces the character that you get in that pack into an ongoing storyline. Wow. That ties together into, like, as I said, a campaign setting playing out on the Attack Wing table.
Wow, it sounds really great. Oh, so this is going to be available come October.
2
weeks later, the 7 expansions will be available.
In late October. Check your local game store.
Great. Well, thank you, Scott, for talking with us. For D6 Mafia, I'm Russell D. Jones from the floor of Gen Con.